a wanderlust king.
Greetings, everybody. I have water. Nice, comfy, cold, refreshing. Can't get a fucking enough water. Oh, the game, right. Welcome back to Angels with Scaly Wings. Last time, we got kidnapped by a guy. We talked about multiverse theory, time-space dimension physics, and a comet coming to destroy the planet. The last one is probably the most important one there. Today, we woke up and we saw some messages on our phone. Let's see what's going on. Hey, are you coming to see the show? It's going to happen pretty soon, you know. I trained so much for this. You wouldn't believe. Probably harder than I ever trained in my entire life. I really hope you can make it, because I really want to show you all I've got. I'm meeting with a dean. I want to see how far she's come. That must be her. Hey, Furea. Hey, Dean. Are you ready to go? Sure am. Can't wait to see everything the festival has to offer. Oh, I'm sorry if it came across that way, but I don't think we'll actually have much time to take part in the festivities. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll have to spend most of my time at the competition grounds. We'll arrive there early so I can check in and do my warm-up. And I'll still have to stick around after my performance to wait for the awards ceremony. I guess you don't have to wait with me. You could see the rest of the festival if you wanted to. That's out of the question. I'm here to spend time with you. The festival is not that important. Besides, we can always see everything on one of the other festival days. True. We could even watch the big fireworks show at the end. Yeah, I've heard about that. Everyone keeps telling me how important it is for me to see. It's not that important, but if you have the opportunity, you should really go. I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend, but I'll gladly accompany you if I have the chance. Sure, so today's agenda is emotional support, and next time we can take in all the aspects of the festival. Sound good? Perfect. Alright, let's go then. It took us a while to arrive at the festival, which had already begun by this point. The last of the booths that lined the way there were still being set up, but dragons of all shapes and sizes were already pouring in. Instead of walking directly through the festival, we stayed outside and established paths heading toward the stage where the competition was going to be held. Eventually, we arrived at a rather large open-air area near the facility that had been roped off. At one corner of the building, a few flyers had already gathered. Maybe you should wait here until I get my number. Why? People might get the wrong idea if you show up in the registration line. Besides, they certainly stare and start asking all kinds of questions. Alright, I'll just stay here then. I'll be right back. After Dean had waddled off to the other flyers, I surveyed my surroundings idly. Beyond the big open air area, seating had been provided. All I could see is a few people waiting for the competition to start. A few had even gathered on the roof of the building to watch from there. I'm back! Is that your number? She held up a piece of cloth with a large number print on it. A few straps were hanging from it. What, this? No, of course not. This is Neowing's number. Of course. Sorry for the mistake. I'm one of the last to start, actually. Are we late? No, I guess the others just arrived earlier to have more time to get ready. What do you think about the other competitors? I've seen most of them fly before. Some are really, really good. Doesn't seem like there are many newcomers here, so right now I'm the odd one out. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. How so? Well, you know more about them than they do about you. Having a promising newcomer there might throw them off their game. I'm not so sure about that. After all, it's not as if any of our already choreographed performances would change based on what others do now. Each of us just tries to do their best. Most of them are seasoned flyers, so they already know how to deal with that kind of pressure. If anything, I'm the one who might get nervous and mess up. I do have one advantage, though. I'm still pretty young. This is a sport with a great amount of wear and tear. There comes a certain point in time when you just can't perform as well anymore as you used to. Many complicated maneuvers can only be performed by younger athletes. The older ones can make up for it by using their experience with better execution of easier moves. In the end, a daring newcomer like me could surprise the audience and judges with something new and unexpected, which is exactly what I plan to do. How good do you think your chances are? With a bit of luck, I might even be able to win. This is just a local competition after all. But you know what? Just being here right now and performing in front of so many people is a win for me. People will know me, and I'll probably get a mention somewhere in a local paper. I've trained for years, and my application to compete finally got accepted. Now I just have to make the most of it and be happy. I can still hardly believe that I'm here. This is the moment I've worked so hard for. And I'll be watching you. Oh, stop it! You're making me nervous! Sorry. Can you help me with this? She spread out her wing. Only then did I notice her shoulder joint was tightly bandaged. What's that for? It's just a training bandage to stabilize my shoulder after that little blunder you witnessed last time. We can't fly with these in the competition though, so I'll have to take it off. Okay. I opened the bandage carefully, unwrapping her wing. There you go. Thanks. She spread both of her wings, beating them a few times. I couldn't help but noticing that previously bandaged wing was sagging noticeably compared to its counterpart, as if it were misaligned. She seemed to be examining her shoulder, somewhat lost in thought when I spoke up. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, of course, why wouldn't I? I can see you're straining without the bandage. I'm fine, really, don't worry about it. If you're fine without the bandage, how come you were wearing it up till now? Did you need it for practice too? If you couldn't practice without it, maybe you aren't ready to compete without it just yet. Since when are you suddenly an expert on flying? I'm the one who has been doing this for years, not you. This is my dream we're talking about. Do you want them to see you in this condition and judge you based on that rather than when you're at your best? I just have to try, you know? What if something goes wrong, though? You don't want to be in that position. If I start making excuses now, maybe I'll never stop. I'll always be too nervous or too injured. Or I didn't eat right the day before. I feel bad enough as it is. Right now, I have the chance to do this, and if I don't take it, maybe I never will. I'll always be I'll just be a server and delivery girl making minimum wage. Is this the one chance really too much to ask for? No, but it doesn't have to be right now. There will always be another year. They've never seen you compete before. If you fly now, they'll judge you based on this performance. You only have one chance at making a first impression, and you know it won't be your best if you fly right now. If it's not good enough, maybe they won't invite you again next year. If you fly now, they won't accept any excuses, but if you tell them you're injured, they might let you fly another time. But I don't want to wait another year. I want to do it now. I trained so much, even with this injury, and you're telling me I should just let it go? I just can't help thinking about last time. If you crash like that again, there's no sand here to cushion your fall. It would be much worse. You think I don't know that? That I'm not already worrying about this more than I ever have for anything else? I just don't want to make excuses anymore. I don't want to wonder if I'll ever amount to anything more than a waitress. I want to be able to follow my dream, and I don't want to wait another year to find out. What about Emily? If something happened to you, how do you think they would explain to her that you just suddenly stopped showing up, huh? Don't you dare bring her into this! She has nothing to do with it! Like it or not, what you're doing could have consequences, and there are others besides you who will be affected if something goes wrong. You know what? I will fly and do the best damn job I ever done! And there's nothing you can do to stop me! Before I could reply, she angrily stomped off toward the building, where by now a number of contestants had arrived. While I had failed to convince her, at least I could say that I tried my hardest to stop her. I asked myself whether I even wanted to watch the competition at that point. It was possible that she'd do better than expected, but if my experience was any indication, her performance would not turn out well. In the end, I decided to stay and watch from the sidelines. I didn't want to join the rest of the audience, as I was sure it would get me unwanted attention. After the competition had started, I lost myself in thought, thinking over a conversation I had with Adine while watching the other contestants half-heartedly. Adine had been right. Some of them were really good, but based on what I had seen at her practice session, she did have a shot at winning if everything went well for her. Even though my rational mind doubted that would happen, for her own sake, I hoped it would. One by one, the contestants showed off their skills in a variety of moves, usually followed by an applause from the audience. Eventually, it was time for Adine's turn. Next on stage is number 11, a promising newcomer who will show her skills to the public here for the very first time in her debut performance. Please welcome Neo Wing! There was an excited bout of clapping. The audience was always curious to see a newcomer on the stage. However, after a few seconds passed, Adine still hadn't emerged. An awkward silence set in as the audience applause stopped and everyone sat anxiously waiting for her to show up. She never did. After a half minute or so had passed, the announcer's voice once more echoed over the area. My apologies. It looks like number 11 will not be flying today. Next up is number 12, a certain veteran you may know for his somewhat usual technique. Before I could even ask myself what happened, I saw Adine walking out of the building and coming towards me. Adine, what did you do? Let's just go somewhere else. Okay. We walked away from the festival and sat down under a tree in the outskirts of town. As the competition was already nearly over, the darkness had already set in. Here should be good. So what made you reconsider? You were right with everything you said. When I was inside and had a bit of time to cool off, I realized I didn't want to do it like this, even if I'd have to wait another year. How do you feel now? I know it was the right thing to do, but I can't help but thinking that I just came so close that I could have done it if it hadn't been for that stupid accident. You'll have another chance, I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. Hey, Furea, look at the sky. Can you see that light? The one that's brighter, looks a little brighter than all the others? Yeah. I usually practice in the evening sky until it's dark, so I see the stars pretty often. I noticed something about that one. It moves. How does it move? It looks pretty stationary to me. You won't notice it just by looking at it, but over the last couple of weeks I noticed that it's changed position when comparing it to other stars. It can't be a star then. Stars don't move. They have an office in one of the cities that watches these kind of things. I called them about it a while ago. What did they say? It's just an asteroid passing by. It's even been on the news a few times. That makes it sound pretty important. Yeah, it's a big one apparently. Otherwise we wouldn't even be able to see it without a telescope. Do they think it's dangerous? Why would it be? I don't know. It could hit the moon or something like that. They assured me that's not going to happen. They say calculating the paths of celestial bodies is a very complicated science, and not really an exact one. They know it's not going to hit the moon, but they're watching to make sure it passes safely. Not that just watching it would make a difference. They really don't know more. Apparently, there's also really underfunded. They're also really underfunded. The council doesn't see the need to waste people's time and money to look into the sky all day. That's strange, don't you think? It used to be a pretty important job, but over time the funding got less and less until only this token office was in our biggest city was left. I see. It's such a shame since the whole institution was based on our creation story. In what way? One of the stories our creator told us to watch the skies. How religious are you, really? What exactly do you mean? Well, dragons have these myths about humans. How many of them do you actually believe are true? Oh, I believe all of it. I just love reading all the stories, theories, and all that. Why is that? Well, I think there's a lot we can learn from it. Much of our society is based on it, including our laws and traditions. And this cat who keeps bugging me! Could you move? I don't want to crush you with my chair! Why are you an annoyance? Why do you bother me when I'm busy? Why do you bother me when you got a nice chair right there to sit on? Why? I see. Can I ask you a question? Sure, go ahead. What would you think if I told you that I'm a time traveler from the future? Hey, don't joke about something like that. Why not? Because I'd believe you. Besides, if you really are a time traveler, I'd think you'd come from the past, like the time when we were created. Really? Why is that? Because it's the only time in our history we know of humans ever being here. If you came from the future, that would mean humans were to show up at some point in our future history, and I'm not sure how or why that would happen. Wouldn't that mean I was your creator? Well, not necessarily. There could have been other humans around, right? Your myth only mentions one, though. Yeah, but people speculate, trying to find explanations for those old myths. Maybe there were more humans around, and they just died, or their creation rebelled and killed them. Others say they fled across the ocean. We just don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I like reading about all the theories and trying to piece the puzzle together myself. That's why I want to visit that underground building we found. Some of the theories are quite out there. Like what? For example, one says that humans are really aliens who came from a different planet. They created us for some reason and just vanished again. What would they do that for? Maybe it's an experiment. They're testing us. Some say they're always watching us from up there somewhere with a giant mothership, and maybe one day they'll return when we're ready to join them. That's pretty out there, I'll say. Told you so. What about the humanity you come from, though? Why don't you tell me more about your world? I don't like talking about it. It's much prettier here. I don't believe you. It's the truth. I'll believe it when I see it with my own eyes. I'd love to visit your world. I don't think it would be a good idea to visit us right now. Why not? Do you know what our world is like? Are there any rumors about that? Not really. There hasn't been much speculation about that yet. Of course, we're curious, though. Next time we want you to send one of our ambassadors into your world and make it even and all that. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Don't be so negative. I'm sorry, it's not up to me to determine the best course of action. I'm just a lowly ambassador, after all. Not quite as lowly as a waitress with nothing more than high aspirations. Maybe it's time for me to go home. I would walk you, but I guess it'd be faster if you flew. Nah, I'd rather not without the bandage. Are you serious? And you were gonna do your performance like that? I know I shouldn't have tried. You don't have to bring that up again. Sorry. For what it's worth, I think you made the right decision in the end. Thank you. Shall we go then? Sure. There we are. Do you want to come in for a bit? It would be a shame to have you come all this way for nothing. Sure. She opened the door, wiping her feet on the doormat before she went inside. Can I offer you something to drink, maybe? No thanks, I'm good. How about some TV? That could be interesting. I haven't watched TV in ages, and I don't have one in the apartment. You're right, you've got a pretty decent apartment, but they didn't provide a TV. I wonder why. Maybe they wanted me to avoid culture shock or something like that. You got a shelf full of books, though. Why would books be fine, but not a TV? I suppose when they give me books, they know I'm not what I'm going to read, but on TV they can't really regulate the content I'm going to see. And this cat won't stop bothering me! And I throw her out and she runs back in. Why? At least if TV works the same way as ours used to. That's true. Maybe they just thought your time would be better spent elsewhere. I guess, if they didn't want me to watch TV, they certainly never told me. Actually, there's a series on right now that could be pretty interesting to you. What is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Do you want me to put it on or not? Sure, let's do it. Adine turned on TV and a brief flicker appeared on screen before it was filled with images of a house from the outside. Well, that doesn't look unusual. Just wait a bit. The camera cut to the inside of the home while chattering small talk could be heard. Then some figures entered the living room on screen. They were grotesque and malformed creatures with rather cartoony proportions, covered in odd lumps all over their body. They all shared the same odd skin tone. It was clear to me these figures were played by actors in obviously fake, bulky costumes that reminded me of mascots. What are those? Humans! Humans? It's the name of the series. It's a typical sitcom about a contemporary family as we would expect, but the twist is that everyone is human. And then I realized why I haven't been able to identify the creatures on the screen as humans. They were all naked. Since the dragon's concept of clothing was different, they had applied their own principles when creating the series. It was quite bizarre to see a typical family sitcom where all the characters were in obviously fake fake costumes, and also happened to be naked. Do you like it? It's one of my favorites. While it is a sitcom, it manages to address serious and deep issues fairly often, which I don't think would be as effective if we weren't watching them through the lens of this alternate reality. This one isn't a bad episode, but it's already nearly over. I guess there's no point in just watching the ending. True. By this point, the credits were already rolling, and Dean turned off the TV again. What do you think? Let's just say that if a human looking like that suddenly showed up in our world, people would probably run away screaming. They don't look that bad. Sure, it's impressive if we consider what they had to work with, but there's a few things they got wrong. Like what? For one, humans mostly wear clothing, and secondly, we don't have tails. Those are just small details. The series is still good, though. Is it popular? For sure. Many people love it. I see. Hopefully they aren't too scared of me when they see how different I am, though. I didn't run away screaming when I first met you, did I? True. Now that you're already here, there's something you can help me with. What is it? Well, it'd be a huge favor to ask, and it's kinda embarrassing. Just say it. The worst I can do is say no. How should I say this? It's about my shower. I get pretty dirty from practice sometimes, especially from the bad landings, and recently the detachable shower head broke. That usually wouldn't be much of a problem, but with this injury I can't quite reach a few places on my own. It's already not ideal having to manage everything with my wings, but now it's even harder. You want me to scrub your back? I guess you could put it that way. I told you it was embarrassing. I'll do it. Don't worry about it, I'm glad to help. Thanks. This way. I followed her, entering the rather large bathroom. The shower is huge! I wouldn't mind having one of these! This isn't just your regular dragon-sized shower. It's made specifically for a flyer like me. We need enough room to stretch our wings. Just think of the possibilities! She took off her goggles and stepped into the roomy walk-in shower. After pressing a button on the wall, water started flowing down from the shower head mounted on the wall. She moved around a bit, stretching this and that in order to cover her whole body in water. Soon afterwards, she pressed the button on the wall again and the water flow stopped. She turned to show me her back, wings splayed. The soap and sponge should be right there. I took a sponge that wasn't unlike the ones I knew from back home and added some soap from a rather big bowl. It seemed to me that each species had their own challenges that need to be overcome when it came to daily tasks like this one, emphasized by all the different design choices when it came to everyday items. You can start with the wings and work your way down from there. Sure thing. I couldn't help making a joke to ease this tension a bit when I put the sponge on her muzzle. Hey, looks like you got something here. Oh wait, it's just your stripes. Hey, stop that! Sorry, couldn't resist. Good job, now I've got soap in my nose. I started scrubbing her wings now that I could see them up close and fully extended. I found them to be quite impressive. You know, I actually tried to do that before. What do you mean? Washing off those stripes? Why? Well, I was just a child back then. You know how kids are. They make fun of everything. No, I don't know if human children are the same way. They are. Trust me. Don't press too hard there. That's the injured shoulder. I'll be careful. Eventually, I reached her lower back, and while I was washing a particular spot on her left side, I could see her leg twitching slightly. Are you ticklish there? I guess you noticed. What happens if I do this? I repeated my ministrations, moving the sponge in circles over that particular spot. Hey, stop that! She started squirming, and suddenly her tail whacked around and hit me in the face, causing me to stumble and fall over backwards. Are you okay? I guess I deserved that. Well, you tickle the dragon, you get the tail, apparently. The forked tip of her tail was still hovering inches in front of my face. Its peculiar shape reminded me of something. I couldn't help but grab at it and hold it like a telephone. Hello? Hello? What are you doing? I think your phone isn't working. Stop being silly. Alright, I'm nearly done anyway. I resumed my scrubbing. By now, only her tail was left. Not being entirely sure about my technique, I moved the sponge over the tail's whole length in small circles. When I was nearly done, I noticed a low rumble emanating from her, reminding me of what an oversized cat's purr might sound like. Are you purring? Suddenly, her expression changed as she looked over her shoulder. Oh, are you done? You should take a step back if you don't want to be hit by the water. After I left the shower again, she pressed the button on the wall and the water resumed once more. She only stood under it briefly and moved around about until the water had completely washed off the suds. When she turned the water off the water again, I realized it didn't cling to her much at all. After she shook herself for a bit and stepped out again, nearly dry. Thanks, I really needed that. You're welcome. It's probably getting late for you. I already held you up this long. Don't worry about it. It's already dark. Oh, it's already dark outside. I guess that took longer than I thought. I'm not supposed to go outside this late. You're right. We were advised by the police to stay inside after nightfall because of everything that's going on. For me, this is even more important. I don't know if there's anyone out there who might want to target me. I suppose you'll just have to spend the night then. I guess so. Another free day. Yay me. Woo! That was quite a day. And with that, we will see you guys in the next episode. If you liked this content, give it a thumbs up or a like, whatever you prefer to call the damn thing. Also comment if you want to talk or say anything. Or if you just want to be an asinine troll and just say some really stupid shit in the comments. Also subscribe if you have not yet. That's something very important if you want to watch more content by me as it comes out. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Angels with Scaly Wings. Whew. See you guys then.